Step 1, basic drone, a loose lip blowing technique. Relax, give yourself permission to look a little unusual. Let's do some face stretching exercises. Lick your lips, vibrate them as if blowing a raspberry. Now we transfer this loose lip blowing technique to the mouthpiece of the didgeridoo. Initially you will find that if we have a medium blowing pressure, we produce the clear, crisp sound. If one attempts to blow too hard or too soft, the drone will be diffused. Step 2, variations on the drone. Initially we vary the sound coming out of the didgeridoo by simply blowing harder and softer. You may have noticed that more pressure is required on the lips as you blow harder to maintain the clarity of drone, and you can ease the pressure off your lips as you blow softer. Still on step 2, we vary the sound coming out of the didgeridoo by changing the shape of our mouth and position of our tongue. I find that most of my students find this the most challenging exercise in learning to play didgeridoo. And why that is so is because as we contract our cheeks, pull them in like that, then generally when you're learning, it alters the sound of didgeridoo and in fact cuts it right out. And the reason for that is that the lips have changed shape and they've pulled in like a goldfish. In so doing, have broken the seal on the mouthpiece. A couple of exercises I find useful in overcoming this are, 1, which is what I call my mouth rinsing exercise, simply puffing out your cheeks and then sucking them in between your teeth, keeping your lips closed. This exercise does two things. It strengthens the cheek muscles, increases your flexibility, and allows the lips to then mould the mouthpiece even though you're expanding and contracting your cheeks. Also, I find it important to watch yourself in front of the mirror because then you can see what you're doing with your cheeks. Step 3, vocals. I'll vary the sound coming through the didgeridoo by imitating a number of different Australian animal and bird sounds. I'll start off with the mopoke owl. The sound that I was making to create that was simply going boop, 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 boop. And in fact, if you notice, when I make any sounds, I need to keep my lips very still, like an Australian talking, so the flies don't get in your mouth. Because if you move your lips, then you'll interrupt the drone. Now, I'm going to make the sound of the bush pigeon. And that sound is and now I'm going to make the sound of Australia's native dog, the dingo. Without the didgeridoo, it would sound like this. The kookaburra is another unique sound of Australia known throughout the world. Without the didgeridoo, the kookaburra sound is created like this. The feral donkey is well known throughout Arnhem Land and has been included in Aboriginal myth and story in recent years. It sounds like this. With a little bit of voice modulation to create the sound of the donkey. The brolga, a beautiful dancing bird from the north of Australia, has an unusual sound. It sounds something like this. And without the didgeridoo, what I have found useful in imitating the different animal and bird sounds through didgeridoo is to close my eyes and imagine that I can see the big bush pigeon sitting on a tree and copy it. And then in fact, to put more feeling into my playing, I can pretend that I am the pigeon. And this was a traditional Aboriginal way of encapsulating the spirit of the animal and bird into didgeridoo playing. A further development to using your vocals is to talk through the didgeridoo. And I'll demonstrate that by saying, "Good day, mate, how you going? What are you doing, eh?" So listen carefully. You can have a lot of fun by exploring different sounds and developing your own unique style. Step 4, tongue. Traditionally, players would utilize the tongue to maintain rhythm throughout their playing styles. For ease of learning, I've utilized a technique that allows us to imitate, first of all, the kangaroo. Now imagine the kangaroo hopping across a plain. Boing, boing, boing. What I'm going to do now is create that impression using my tongue. What I was doing then was simply resting my tongue on the roof of my mouth, back from the teeth, and then pulling away quickly, creating a little vacuum and making a sound like this. I'll demonstrate that once more. Now imagine a boomerang flying through the air, and I'll create that sound using my tongue through the didgeridoo. What I was doing then was very simply pulsating my tongue in the middle of my mouth. First of all, there's a constant stream of air coming out, like that, and the lips are vibrating, of course, to produce the drone. And then the tongue pulsates in the middle of the mouth, goes backwards and forwards, breaking up the flow of air. And it would sound something like this without the didgeridoo. I'll demonstrate it once more on the didgeridoo. Once you've mastered that level of skill, then we can create sounds using different words or phrases with emphasis on the tongue. For example, I'm going to use the word do-do-didero with the emphasis on the tongue, the d-d-d sound, and you'll hear a rhythm beginning to form. To help you master this technique, practice some of these simple tongue exercises.